My dear, my child of the light, the one heaven marked with a seal only the angels can read. Why are your hands trembling right now? Because somewhere deep inside your soul already senses that this is no ordinary moment. That tiny flutter in your chest, that's not fear, it's recognition. The air has shifted as if the invisible curtains of heaven have been drawn back, and the universe itself is leaning in to listen. I do not speak to you today as a distant echo or some far-off storyteller. I speak as one who has stood beside you when the storms were too fierce for words. The nights you cried quietly so no one would hear, I saw. The choices you regretted but still kept walking through, I witnessed. And today I must tell you this moment is not light or casual, it is weighty, it is urgent. Jesus himself has been walking back and forth before the throne, your name like a steady rhythm on his lips. His steps are not slow or distracted, they are urgent as if time itself is being held back until you understand what's at stake. His eyes filled with both fierce love and a holy warning, have not turned away from you for hours. And what he says right now is for you, only you. Not for your friends, not for your family, not for anyone scrolling by in a hurry. This message carries a sharpness like a blade that cuts through fog. If you turn away now, if you let your attention drift, the regret that follows will ache in your spirit long after the moment passes. The angels themselves have whispered to me, Michael, don't let them skip this. Don't let them treat this as just another message. Don't let them delay. Because, beloved, there is bad news trying to crawl into your life, news that does not come from heaven but from a darker place that hopes to dim your light. Before I reveal it, take a breath with me. Close your eyes for a heartbeat. Picture heaven leaning close, the golden light wrapping gently around your shoulders like a warm cloak. That light is protection, preparing you for what you're about to hear. And I must warn you, if you walk away now, if you think I'll come back to this later, or if you let some meaningless distraction steal this moment, you won't just miss a message. You'll step right into the snare that has been laid for you. And the tears that follow will taste of salt and feel endless. You do not deserve that pain, and heaven is doing everything possible to prevent it. But beloved, the final choice rests with you. If even now you feel your heart stirred, if these words seem to echo something you already knew but couldn't explain, then keep your heart open. Stay connected to this voice, because the days ahead will bring moments where the noise of the world will make no sense at all. In that confusion you will need the steady whisper of the words God sends for you alone. Listen carefully, heaven itself has moved. A meeting was held in the highest courts of light. Your name was spoken there. Your face appeared in the flowing river of time, and a shadow, yes, the enemy's shadow, tried to cover it. But Jesus struck his hand against the table of eternity, and declared, no, not this one. This one is mine. Do you feel that chill at the back of your neck? That isn't fear, it's your soul recognizing the truth that is too vast for the mind alone to hold. Here's the danger. There is someone, a real person of flesh and blood, who knowingly or unknowingly has opened a door for something dark to walk toward you. They smiled at you recently. They spoke words that sounded harmless, maybe even kind. But hidden deep beneath their pleasant tone was a hook, an unseen trap. If you turn away from this message now, if you shrug it off, they will get exactly what they want, and heaven will have to watch as you walk right into it. But if you keep listening, if you lean in and hold on to these words, before the sun sets, the angels themselves will begin to shift the path beneath your feet, arranging things in your favor. Beloved, you might not even realize how close you've come to a breaking point. Not the kind the world talks about, not public drama or loud disasters. But a spiritual breaking. The dangerous moments aren't always the storms we can see. They're often the silent moves behind the scenes, the whispered plans in rooms we've never entered, the words spoken in secret about us. Right now such a moment is unfolding. Your name has been carried into a conversation you were never meant to hear. What they're saying about you is not truth, it's poison. It's being used to twist how others see you and to block the blessings meant for you. But here you are. God has drawn you into this very moment so you can see the unseen before it strikes. That strange pull in your heart as you read these words. That's your spirit nodding, recognizing that heaven is indeed speaking. I have watched you walk through seasons when people smiled to your face yet planted weeds in your soil as soon as you turned away. I have seen you forgive them, keep moving forward, even when your own shadow felt like a burden too heavy to drag along. But this time is different. This is not merely an attack on your reputation or your peace. This one targets the very road God laid out for you long before you were born. The enemy believes that if they can twist just one moment, just one decision, they can shift the entire course of your future. That is why Jesus is not merely calling you, he is pleading for you to listen. You've heard warnings before. Maybe you brushed them off thinking life would sort itself out. And often yes, God shielded you silently without you even realizing. But this time heaven has chosen not to remain silent. This is not merely about protection, it's about positioning. You stand right now at the threshold of a moment that can reshape everything, your relationships, your finances, even the way you look at yourself in the mirror. So pause here and let this truth sink in. What lies ahead is not random. It is a crossroad. Which way you choose will decide whether the enemy's plan succeeds or collapses before it begins. And if your heart whispers that this word is for you, hold on tightly. Stay close to this line that connects you with heaven. Lean into it because heaven is not only warning you, it is also ready to defend and guide you into what was meant for you all along. My beloved child, if you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks with contributions of up to $100. But listen to me carefully, beloved. The one who plots against you believes they've been clever, as if their whispers in the dark have gone unnoticed. They think that by hiding behind smiles and polite words they can slip the knife in without ever being seen. But what they don't know is that the heavens have already marked their intentions. The trap they are building with their own hands will soon become the pit they fall into. Do not let fear take root in you. This is not a message to make you tremble in despair, it is a call to wake up. When light shines on hidden things, it does not come to scare you but to save you. And the light is shining now. The Spirit is revealing this moment not to crush you but to keep you from stepping blindly into danger. I tell you the truth, the alliance being formed against you is weaker than it appears. It looks like a wall standing between you and your destiny, but in the eyes of heaven it is only a shadow. Yet shadows can still cause you to stumble if you keep your eyes closed. That is why this warning comes not to glorify the enemy's work but to keep your steps sure. Beloved, I have seen how the Father has carried you through other storms. Many times you thought you were at the end, but the end never came. The reason it didn't is because your story isn't over. You have been preserved for this very hour. The enemy has tried again and again to rewrite your ending, but the author of your life has refused to hand over the pen. This is why you cannot afford to drift into doubt or delay. The moment you hesitate, the snare grows tighter. But when you respond, when you lean into the voice that has carried you through fire before, the enemy's plans begin to unravel. Already angels stand near, swords drawn, not of steel but of blazing light. They are waiting for your agreement because heaven's power moves with your faith. Understand this, my beloved, faith here is not about emotion, it is about choice. Even if your heart shakes, your decision to stand under God's covering becomes the signal for heaven to move. Your part is to listen, to believe, and to take the steps shown to you. I sense even now a shift in the air as you take these words in. The heaviness that has clung to you these past nights is beginning to lift. That is not coincidence. That is heaven leaning closer, clearing the air so you can breathe and hear clearly. You need to know this as well. The person working against you does not hold the final word. They may gather others, they may speak your name with bitterness, but every plot has an expiration date set by the hand of God. The line they have crossed will not be left unanswered. Yet do not let anger or revenge take root in your heart, for that is another trap. Your strength is not in striking back but in staying aligned with the one who sees all things and makes all things right in their time. I tell you plainly, the season ahead is crucial. It is not just about avoiding harm, it is about stepping into what was meant for you all along. The enemy's true goal is not merely to hurt you but to distract you so you miss your appointed moment. That is why the attack feels so personal, because the purpose you carry is personal to heaven. Beloved, you may feel like you're standing on shaky ground, but remember this, the shaking often comes right before the shift. You are closer than you realize to the door that leads into a brighter chapter. And that is exactly why the resistance feels more intense now. The closer the dawn, the louder the darkness tries to roar. So stand still for a breath and listen. The same God who called your name before the throne has already gone ahead of you into the days you haven't yet seen. He knows the paths that seem blocked and the people who seem against you. Nothing is hidden from his eyes, and nothing can overturn what he has already purposed for your life if you stay under his direction. Do not allow the enemy's urgency to become your own. Panic is their weapon, patience is yours. You are not late, you are being positioned. This season is not about running in fear, it is about walking with resolve, guided by the quiet instructions whispered to your spirit. I see a vision even now. A bridge stretched over dark waters. On one side stands the one who plots, on the other side the future waiting for you. The bridge may shake as you walk, but it will not break beneath you because it was built by hands stronger than your own. And as you step forward, something will happen. Those who have been whispering against you will find their words falling to the ground like dust. Their alliances will crumble because their foundation was never truth but envy. Hold these words close, my beloved. Write them in your heart if you must. For in the coming days when doubt tries to creep in, you will need to remember not just what you heard but why you heard it now before the storm could reach you. This message is not the voice of doom, it is the voice of rescue. It comes to catch you before you slip, to light the path before the night grows darker. Stay close to the presence that called your name. Do not wander in search of other answers. The one who warned you is the same one who will guide you. And let peace settle over you even now. Because if heaven moved to send this word, then heaven has already moved to guard your tomorrow. Beloved, listen carefully. The papers on that table aren't ordinary papers. Some carry the record of promises already released in your favor, answers to prayers you once whispered in the dark. Others are like contracts waiting for your agreement, opportunities for growth, new relationships, even healing that hasn't yet shown up in your life. The enemy has been trying to scatter those papers, to smudge your name, to make you believe those blessings were never meant for you. But heaven has sent guards around that table. Not one promise will be lost if you choose to stand in alignment with what God says. I see you standing before that table, hesitant, almost reaching but then pulling back, because of fear. Fear that maybe it's too late or maybe you're not worthy. Hear me, that hesitation is the real trap. It is the voice of the one who knows he cannot touch what God has signed in your favor, so he tries to keep you from reaching for it. But the moment you take a step forward, the moment you say with your own mouth, "I will not turn back," the atmosphere shifts. Chains that felt unbreakable begin to loosen. Imagine a traveler walking along a path in a dense forest. The sunlight ahead marks the exit, but the trees on either side whisper doubts. You'll get lost, you'll be hurt, stay here where it's familiar. That's the tactic of the enemy. He wants you to stay in the shadows because he sees the clearing that's waiting for you. But heaven says, keep walking. Even if the path feels narrow, even if the steps are slow, keep moving. Archangel Michael says, there are still movements in the unseen that you haven't perceived, intercessions happening, angels dispatched to clear away obstacles you thought were permanent. That's why the heaviness you felt recently was not random. It was the pressure of that opposition trying to convince you that nothing will change. But it is already changing. Light is not approaching slowly, it is breaking like the first ray of dawn cutting through the longest night. And let me tell you this. The distractions that have been swirling around you, the unexpected arguments, the small but persistent worries about finances or relationships, are not coincidence. They are attempts to divert your focus. This is the moment to guard your attention like treasure. Do not let every ring of the phone or every flash of bad news pull you away. Every time you stay rooted, you weaken the grip of that resistance. Beloved, remember the harvest field I spoke of before. The golden one still waits on your right. But something new is happening, the wind has started to move through that field. I see the stalks bending as if bowing to welcome you. That is a sign that what belongs to you is not slipping away, it is leaning toward you, waiting for your hands to gather it. You may think, but I have failed before, I missed other chances. Listen, God says that the failures of your past have no authority over this new season. They were lessons, not verdicts. And here's a truth to anchor your heart, the enemy does not attack empty vessels. The intensity of the battle is proof of the weight of what you carry. The darker the night before dawn, the more certain the sunrise. I want you to picture one more thing. A gate in the distance. It is shut, but there's a faint glow coming through the cracks. That gate represents doors of influence and provision that have been locked for years. The enemy would like you to assume it's sealed forever. But I see a key in your hand, one that was given, not earned. That key is your faith and your obedience to keep walking in alignment. The moment you lift it, the gate will respond. The hinges have been rusted by delay, but they cannot resist the decree that has already gone out from heaven. Beloved, the choice is still in your hands. You can let the weight of doubt slow your steps until the moment passes, or you can step forward now. The power that split seas, that calmed storms has not diminished. That same power surrounds you. It is not your own strength that will carry you through, it is your agreement with what God says. So I urge you, lift your head, steady your heart. This is not a time for retreat. It is the threshold of the promise. The pressure is not the end, it is the sign that the wall is about to give way. Keep your eyes on the path, keep your spirit attentive and do not be afraid. The very attack meant to break you will become the testimony that raises you. Remember this, when God speaks a word over you, the spiritual realm acknowledges it as law. The enemy cannot delete it. The most they can do is try to make you surrender it. Don't give them that satisfaction. Every step you take in faith is like signing your name to those heavenly papers. And when your name is signed in agreement with God's will, no darkness can revoke it. So breathe, straighten your shoulders. The future the enemy fears is the one you are about to step into. And as you step, you will find that you were never walking alone. The same voice that called you is still calling now. Do not be afraid, I am with you. Beloved, understand this, nothing about this moment is random. The exposure you are about to witness is heaven's timing intersecting with your obedience. The enemy thinks they've been operating in secret, but the light of God has already begun to seep under the door of that dark room. What they whispered in the corners is being carried like echoes across the heavens. And I tell you this as plainly as I can, you are not late to this battle. You are stepping into it at the exact moment you were meant to. I see in the spirit that table you heard about, its surface scattered with papers and plans. Some of those plans were written in haste, some in anger and some with cold calculation. But what none of those hands realized is that heaven was standing over their shoulders the entire time. Even as they thought, we will corner them this way, the angels were already shifting the ground beneath their feet. The timing of this exposure is not coincidence, it is intervention. Heaven is saying, now, God says, enough. The plot that was supposed to grow quietly like a weed in the night is being ripped out by the roots while it is still tender. But you, beloved, are being invited to witness it so that your faith will not only be strengthened but also sharpened. Do you remember the weariness you felt in the last season? The days when even small tasks felt heavy. That was not laziness or weakness. It was the invisible resistance of this plan pressing against your soul, trying to wear you down before the moment of breakthrough. The fact that you are still here reading these words proves that you endured what was meant to break you. I need you to see this next part with the eyes of your spirit. In heaven's courtroom there is a scroll being unrolled. It carries not the accusations of your enemy but the decrees of your Father. Written on it are promises that were spoken over you long before this current struggle. And as that scroll is opened I see seals breaking, seals that were placed by forces that wanted to delay you. With each seal that breaks light bursts forth, and I hear a voice like thunder declaring, no more delay. Beloved, the unease in the heart of the one sitting at that dark table is not just guilt, it is the tremor of recognition. Somewhere deep inside they know they are pressing against something unshakable. They feel it though they try to ignore it, that to fight you is to fight what God has already blessed. And yet they continue, hoping your silence will mean their safety. But your silence is breaking today. Heaven has given you not just a warning but also a weapon, the weapon of awareness. A warned child of God is like a warrior standing at the gate fully armed. You will not be caught unprepared. I see again that path you were standing on earlier, the one between the field of golden harvest and the field of thorns. The harvest has not dimmed. If anything, it shines brighter now because the enemy's attempt to pull you aside has failed to move you. But the thorns too have grown taller, their shadows stretching closer to the path. This is the enemy's last desperate reach. You must keep your eyes forward. Do not let the rustle of the weeds draw your attention. The moment you step off the path, even by a single step, you give the thorns the chance to cling to you. But if you keep walking, steady and unshaken, the harvest will meet you. There is something I must emphasize again because heaven is pressing it on my heart even now. This season is not one of loss. It is a season of divine reversal. The very schemes that were set against you are about to backfire. Like a net cast for prey that ends up catching the hunter's own foot, the plans meant to entrap you will trip the ones who set them. But listen closely, the difference between victory and unnecessary suffering lies in your response. Will you let fear, frustration, or distraction pull you away from this message? Or will you stay anchored even when the noise around you rises? I can tell you this, the enemy is banking on your distraction. They hope a phone call, a doubt, a memory of past pain will make you turn aside just long enough for them to strike. But now you know their tactic. You can recognize it and refuse it. Beloved, I feel the urgency in my spirit as I speak. The window for this warning is narrow. But it is open now, and that means there is still time to turn the tide completely. Heaven is not asking you to fight this battle alone. The same Jesus who called your name 3 times before the throne is the one who now stands beside you. Archangel Michael says, he has drawn his sword not just in defense but in readiness to strike at the right moment. This is why your heart feels stirred, this is why the words you are reading seem to grip you. It is not just a story, it is your moment of interception. The bad news that was set in motion has already lost its power, the moment you stepped into the light of this truth. The heaviness pressing against you is lifting even now, because you are aligning with what heaven says. Beloved, do not be afraid of the days ahead. The enemy's plan is being unraveled thread by thread, what seemed hidden is already coming to light. You will see faces revealed, motives exposed, and what you thought was a setback will turn out to be the very proof that God's favor was always over you. Hold this truth close, you are not just surviving this season, you are being positioned to thrive beyond it. The strength you have gained, the lessons you have carried from past battles are the very tools you need for this next step. Stand firm, keep your heart steady, keep your spirit open. And know that as you do, you are walking straight into the harvest field that was always meant to be yours. The moment heaven revealed this to you, the enemy's timeline was disrupted. What they hoped to accomplish in silence has now been dragged into the light. And when light appears, darkness cannot remain as it was. This is why the atmosphere around you has felt so tense lately, because what was hidden has begun to tremble. Do not mistake the shaking for defeat, it is the sign that their hold is breaking. You must hold steady now. I sense there is a temptation rising in your heart to question whether you truly heard from God, or whether this is only your imagination. That uncertainty is the final weapon they will try to use, for if they can keep you doubting they can keep you still. But the truth has already been released. And once truth is released, it cannot be recalled. It will keep unfolding until everything concealed is uncovered. Remember, many of the pressures you have felt were not about your present struggles, but about the future you are meant to step into. The enemy saw the outlines of the next chapter of your destiny and panicked. They struck early because they feared what you would become. That is why the wait felt so strange and unexplainable. You were not being punished, you were being targeted because of what you carry. Even now I see the angelic guards at their posts. They have not grown weary. Their swords remain lifted, their eyes fixed on the edges of your life where the shadows linger. Yet there is a key you must keep turning, your agreement. Each word of trust you speak, each prayer whispered even through tears, keeps the gate open for heaven's defense to pour in. Do not underestimate how powerful a single act of faith can be. I need to tell you something about the news that is coming. It may arrive in a simple message, perhaps even in a casual remark you overhear. It will not shout, it will come softly hoping to slip past your notice. But when it arrives, you will feel a small disturbance in your spirit, like a string pulled out of place. Pay attention to that gentle nudge, it is the Spirit warning you to stand firm. If you respond quickly, refusing the lie, rejecting the fear, you will disarm it before it can plant a seed. And I must prepare you for this, some faces attached to this moment may be familiar. That is often the hardest part of these seasons. We do not expect resistance to come from places once trusted. But the Lord's purpose in exposing this is not to bring you into bitterness, it is to free you from ties that have quietly been pulling you away from your path. Release them as they are revealed. Do not let resentment take root. Freedom requires an unclenched hand. In the days ahead you will notice small but significant alignments taking place. Conversations that once confused you will suddenly make sense. People who seemed distant will draw near, while those whose hearts were never for you will drift away. Do not chase what is leaving. The shifting is part of the deliverance. Where heaven makes room, it also fills it. I sense that some part of you still wonders whether restoration is truly possible after all the delays and disappointments. Hear this clearly, the delays were not denials. They were pauses set in place to protect the promise. What you thought was wasted time was in fact sacred preparation. The doors that closed were not missed opportunities, they were barriers that kept you from walking into traps you could not see. This is the hour to keep your posture of listening. The stillness you feel now is not emptiness, it is the hush before the unveiling. The same God who saw you in your lowest night is the God positioning you for a public redemption. When the unveiling comes, you will not have to defend yourself. The evidence will speak and the favor resting upon you will be undeniable. Understand this as well, heaven's justice is not merely about proving you right. It is about healing the damage done and restoring the time, the peace, the confidence that were stolen. When the tables turn, and they will, you will see that what was meant to harm you has been transformed into the very thing that lifts you higher. Therefore resist the pull to shrink back. Stand where you are even if your knees tremble. Keep your heart anchored in the truth that was spoken to you. Your agreement, your faith, your willingness to trust even when the picture is not yet complete, these are the keys that let heaven's armies move unhindered. Take comfort in knowing you are not standing at the end of something, but at the threshold of something new. The shaking is making way for the rebuilding. The exposure is making way for the promotion. And the warning you have received today is not a sign of impending loss, but of imminent protection. Lift your eyes beyond the present tension and see the horizon of your story. What awaits is not merely survival but a season where what was promised begins to manifest openly. Walk forward as one who knows they are covered, guarded, and chosen for a purpose greater than the opposition that has tried to stop them. The danger of that second door is its near likeness to the true one. It will appeal to your impatience, promising quicker results, smoother steps, but it hides chains beneath the welcome mat. That is why heaven keeps urging you to slow your heart, to listen before you move. Every great deception depends on haste, every great deliverance begins with stillness. I see you now pausing at that threshold, the light of the true door brushing against your face, the false door whispering with familiar voices. This moment, this pause is more powerful than you realize. If you choose with discernment what was meant to divert you will end up strengthening you. The enemy fears nothing more than a soul who waits for God's voice before stepping. Understand this, the ripple they hope to start is already breaking apart. The very trap they prepared has become a signal flare for heaven's intervention. This is the power of revelation. Light does not just expose darkness, it robs it of momentum. Every plan needs surprise to succeed, and the moment it is revealed it begins to wither. What was meant to lure you is now losing its edge because you see it coming. Still, you must be prepared for the sting. Even when you recognize the enemy's move, the first sight of betrayal or disappointment can pierce the heart. Do not mistake that sting for defeat. It is only the echo of what might have been. You will feel it, but it will not hold you. That is the difference between wounds that linger and warnings that pass. One anchors you in pain, the other propels you forward. I must also remind you that heaven's strategy is not just about shielding you from loss. It is about leading you into territory you have never claimed before. These crossroads do not only protect your future, they redirect it toward greater things. The pressure you feel now is not the weight of failure but the weight of birth. Something new is pressing to emerge, and resistance is simply the last effort of what cannot survive in your next chapter. Look at the pattern of your life for a moment. Think of all the nights you thought were your ending, yet you rose the next morning and moved again. Think of the doors that slammed shut when you begged them to open, only to discover later that they would have led you to harm. This is not your first storm, and it will not be your last, but it may well be the storm that shifts your entire course. The angels positioned at your side have not been moved by your fears, they respond to your faith. They do not count your tears as weakness but as signals that you still choose to reach upward. They stand ready, their swords drawn not to frighten you but to assure you that heaven's army is near. Yet their greatest weapon is not the blade they hold, it is your agreement with truth. That agreement is the key that opens the gate for them to act. The coming days will test that agreement. You may hear words that stir doubt. You may see faces that once brought comfort now feel distant or even opposed. You may be tempted to explain yourself to prove your worth. Resist that temptation. Your vindication will not come from human approval but from the unfolding of God's justice. When the light reveals what has been hidden, explanations will no longer be needed. I hear even now the quiet steps of opportunity approaching, unexpected partnerships, ideas that once felt too bold suddenly finding the right soil, doors that seemed locked beginning to creak open. This is why the enemy's attack has been so persistent. It was not about your past mistakes but about your future influence. They struck early hoping to keep you from ever reaching the gate. But gates only matter to travelers who are moving forward, and you have already begun to move. Do not underestimate the power of small decisions in this hour. A single pause to pray before you reply to that message. A single choice to wait one more day before making a commitment. A single refusal to speak words of despair. These small hinges swing great doors. And each one you choose in alignment with heaven is another nail in the coffin of the trap laid against you. You may ask, why does it have to be this hard? If God is with me, why so many battles? Because those battles are not just about you. Every victory you win now will break chains for someone else later. Every time you refuse to turn down the darker path, you carve a trail of light for another soul to follow. That is why the pressure has been so intense. It is not a sign of your weakness but of your assignment. In the vision I see the darker door fading as your focus remains on the light. I see the false voices growing fainter as your heart grows steadier. I see the angels moving at the edge of your vision, stepping forward as your agreement with heaven grows firmer. You may not feel brave, but courage is not the absence of trembling, it is the choice to move forward even as you tremble. This is the holy paradox of the moment, danger and destiny intertwined. The enemy still hopes you will flinch, that you will step back or hesitate. But each breath you take in faith is another step forward. Each time you whisper, God says I will not fear. The false power of the threat crumbles a little more. Soon what feels like an unending tension will shift. The weight in the air will lighten. The false promises will lose their glitter. The true path will not only be visible but irresistible. You will look back on these days and realize they were the hinge upon which your entire story turned. Hold fast to this truth: revelation is not given to crush you but to lift you. Warnings are not chains, they are keys. The night may still look dark, but dawn has already been decreed. The trap has already been exposed. The balance has already shifted. Your choice now is not whether the light will win but whether you will walk in it without delay. You are not standing in the dark stumbling forward with no sense of direction. You have been given a glimpse of the battlefield, and that insight is itself a weapon. Revelation always comes before restoration. What you are seeing now is proof that heaven has already decided the outcome. You are being invited to stand in agreement with it. I tell you plainly, the attack forming against you is not as powerful as it appears. The true power lies in whether you agree with fear or with faith. In the spirit I see that same golden thread begin to glow brighter the moment you refuse the voice of panic. Each prayer you have whispered in weary hours has wrapped itself like a protective coil around that thread. This is why even as others have tried to pull it, it has not snapped. Their grasp only frays at the surface, never reaching the core. That core is anchored in the purpose of God for your life. I see angels stationed not merely as guards but as builders. They are positioning events, moving people, even shifting schedules so that what was meant to trap you will instead build a platform beneath your feet. Where the enemy thought to pull you down, there will be a step upward. Do not despise the pressure you feel. Often pressure is the weight of heaven moving things into alignment. In the days ahead there may come a conversation that feels harmless at first, perhaps even casual, but it will carry a seed intended to sway your decision. You will know it by the subtle heaviness that follows, by the way peace seems to dim. Do not dismiss that feeling. That is discernment at work. Pause, breathe, remember that divine timing is never rushed by human urgency. I also see that there are individuals who think they can sway those around you to stand against you, whispering in secret as if they control the narrative. What they do not understand is that the narrative belongs to God. The very whispers they thought would corner you will instead expose them. A light will shine on private words and the truth will surface in moments they least expect. There is also a chapter ahead that the enemy fears you will reach, one filled with influence and a voice that carries healing for others. That is why the attack has been designed not just to harm you but to distract you, to pull your focus from the work that is waiting. If you can be made to spend your strength fighting shadows, you will have less to build the future. That is the strategy. And that is why this warning matters, so you can save your strength for the right battles. I sense that in quiet hours you have wondered whether all these struggles mean you are somehow failing. The truth is the opposite. The resistance you face is evidence that you are close to fulfilling what was written over you before you were even formed. If you were not a threat to the darkness, there would be no need for such schemes. Heaven is not merely calling you to survive this, it is inviting you to rise above it with a calm authority that will silence many doubts. Those who once questioned your place will see that you stand because you were chosen, not because you were lucky. In the spirit I see a field after a long storm. The ground looks muddy, scattered with broken branches. But as the sunlight breaks through, small green shoots begin to rise. This is what your season looks like now. The storm has left marks, yes, but it has also watered the soil for new growth. What seemed like loss will prove to be preparation. This is why you must not let discouragement take root. Discouragement blinds you to the green shoots that are already sprouting. Lift your eyes, often notice the small evidences that heaven is moving. A call that arrives unexpectedly with good news. A delay that suddenly clears. A conversation that opens a door you thought was closed. These are the quiet signs that the tide has already turned. Know this, the same hands that tried to pull at the golden thread will soon find their own plans unraveling. Their schemes will entangle themselves for the simple reason that what is built on deception cannot withstand the weight of truth. I see you stepping forward in the coming weeks, not as one who is hiding or defending but as one who is advancing. Your steps will be steadier, your words more decisive, your heart lighter than it has been in months. Even those close to you will notice the change and wonder at it. That steadiness will not come from ignoring danger but from knowing who goes before you. Hold this picture in your heart: the enemy will try to make the next challenge appear as if it is the end of the road. In reality, it is a disguised gate. The moment you walk through with trust rather than fear, you will discover that what looked like a wall was in fact an entryway to the next chapter. And remember this final piece: the pause you take before reacting will often be the very act that defeats the plan against you. Do not let others rush you into panic. Do not be provoked by urgent tones or pressured decisions. You are not behind schedule, you are moving at the pace of divine timing. The story of this season will not end with the words "they were defeated." It will be told as the account of how heaven's warning met a willing heart and how what was meant for harm became the very testimony that lifted you higher. Beloved, as these days unfold, I see the signs already gathering like small ripples before a great wave. A shift in someone's tone toward you that feels almost too sharp to ignore, a sudden delay in plans you thought were certain, or even a strange dream that refuses to fade in the morning light. These are not coincidences. They are signals, pieces of a divine pattern meant to catch your attention. Many miss God's protection because they expect it to arrive with thunder and flashes of light. But often it comes in the quiet, a subtle nudge in your spirit, a door that refuses to open no matter how hard you push, or a friend's unexpected word that makes you pause. This is where wisdom lies, recognizing that the ordinary can carry extraordinary guidance. The enemy thrives in the space between what you can see and what you believe. They want you to react to the visible and forget the unseen promise. But the moment you choose to stand in faith, that gap begins to close and their influence weakens. This is why you cannot be passive now. You must stay anchored steady even if the circumstances seem to sway like the wind. There is something profound you must understand. The event that is being prepared against you will not destroy you, it will reveal you. There's a difference. Destruction seeks to erase, but revelation peels back the false so that what is real can shine. The very scheme meant to break you will instead display your resilience, your integrity, and the undeniable favor resting on you. Those plotting in the shadows will be unable to explain why their plans collapsed. They will watch in silence as the doors they tried to shut open wider than before. They will be left speechless when the outcome which was supposed to humiliate you lifts you instead. The love of God for you right now is not distant or abstract. It is fierce, like a father stepping between his child and danger. That is why Jesus has pressed so urgently for you to listen. He will not allow the enemy to gloat later and whisper, "If only you had known." No, you will know, and because you know, you will overcome. I see angels positioned around you even now. Some clear the way ahead of you so that no hidden trap can remain. Others guard the path behind you, closing doors that could have been openings for confusion. Still others stand close at your sides, ready to deflect distractions before they can reach your heart. This is not mere poetry, it is reality. The enemy sees this covering and in their desperation rushes to act before you fully recognize how surrounded you are by heaven's presence. That heaviness you've been sensing in your spirit is not weakness. It's the weight of the coming shift. Like the ground trembling before a seed bursts into life, your soul feels the press of what's about to break through. The resistance you faced lately is not a sign of abandonment, it's evidence that you are closer to breakthrough than ever. Every moment you felt frustrated, every delay that has tested your patience has been shaping you for this season. The warning you're receiving is not to frighten you but to show how deeply loved you are. God trusts you to respond wisely. Remember this truth: the bad news being prepared will not have the effect they imagine. It will come, but it will fall short. It will appear, but it will lose its power the moment it meets your faith. You are not stumbling in the dark anymore. You are awake, your spirit alert, your heart steadied by the word you've received. The same incident they hoped would be your downfall will turn into the very evidence of God's goodness in your life. It will prove that even when the enemy tries to weave harm, the threads are caught and rewoven by the Master's hand into a testimony of victory. Hold this close: the battle is not about your destruction, it is about your revelation. And the one who has called you will not fail you. Amen.